Where, oh, where is our James Connolly? Where, oh, where is our gallant man? He's gone to organize the Union, to smash the bonds of slavery. Where, oh, where are the citizen armies? Where, oh, where are our fighting men? They've gone to join the great rebellion and break the chains of slavery. Who'll be there to lead the van? Who'll be there for to lead the van? Oh, oh, but our own James Connolly, the hero of each working man. They carried him up to Kilmainham. They carried him up to and there they shot him of a bright May morning, laid him in a quick line grave. Oh, mourns now for our James Connolly, who mourns now for our gallant man. Oh, lay me down in yon green garden, make my bearers Union men. They laid him down in the green garden. Union men, each and every side, and they swore they'd forge one mighty union and fill the gap.
Karen Fairfall Shalom, Goody and Kevin Ibn Shaw and you, Thomas Balaha, Lakela and Shaw, Anonymous, August Honor, a Hodged and a Fire, August Mara, Goga, Ellie, a for a bath of sensation a Hearn. Comrades and friends, I wish to welcome you all to this commemoration ceremony today. We have gathered together to honour and to pay tribute to all those brave men and women who died in the course of the struggle for Irish freedom and independence. In that respect, I extend a particular welcome to the families of those fallen volunteers who have joined with us today on what for them is both a personal and poignant occasion. 97 years ago, on Easter Monday 1916, Irish men and women rose in armed revolt against the British occupation of this country and proclaimed the establishment of the Irish Republic. 16 of the leaders of the rising were executed by the British. 64 members of the Irish Volunteers and Irish Citizen Army were killed in action during the fighting of Easter week. Their sacrifice ensured that the vision of an independent, free Irish Republic would remain alive through future generations. Since Easter week 1916, it is estimated that over 2,000 Republicans have died in subsequent phases of our freedom struggle. We remember them all today. Let us stand to attention together, young and old alike, to the strains of Orang the Vein, which will be played for us by O'Glock's Patricia Black, Frankie Ram Memorial Flute Band. The aims and objectives of all those who died were articulated through the words of the Proclamation of 1916, and I ask Pierce McGovern from Fermanagh to read out the text of that historic document.
The Provisional Government of the Irish Republic to the people of Ireland, Irish men and Irish women, in the name of God and of the dead generations from which you received the old traditions of nationhood, Ireland through us summons our children to our flag and strikes for our freedom. Having organised and trained our manhood through our secret revolutionary organisation, the Irish Republican Brotherhood, and through our open military organisations, the Irish Volunteers and the Irish Citizen Army, having patiently perfected her discipline, having resolutely waited for the right moment to reveal itself, she now seizes that moment. And supported by her exiled children in America and by gallant allies in Europe, but relying in the first on her own strength, she strikes in full competence of victory. We declare the right of the people of Ireland to the ownership of Ireland and to the unfettered control of Irish destinies, to be sovereign and indefeasible. The long usurpation of that right by a foreign people and government has not extinguished that right, nor can it ever be extinguished, except by the destruction of the Irish people. In every generation, the Irish people have asserted the right to national freedom and sovereignty. The right to 6 times during the last 300 years have asserted that right in arms. Standing on that fundamental right and again asserting it in arms in the face of the world, we hereby proclaim the Irish Republic as a sovereign independent state. We pledge our lives and the lives of our comrades in arms to the cause of its freedom, of its welfare and of its exaltation among the nations. The Irish Republic is entitled to and hereby claims the allegiance of every Irish man and Irish woman. The Republic guarantees religious and civil liberty, equal rights and equal opportunities to all its citizens, and declares its resolve to pursue the happiness and prosperity of the whole nation and all of its parts, cherishing all of the children of the nation equally and oblivious of the differences carefully fostered by an alien government, which have divided the minority from the majority in the past. Until our arms have brought the opportune moment for the establishment of a permanent national government, representative of the whole people of Ireland, and elected by the suffrages of all our men and women, the provisional government hereby constituted will administer the civil and military affairs of the Republic in the trust of its people. We place the cause of the Irish Republic under the protection of the Most High God, whose blessing we invoke upon our arms, and we pray that no one who serves that cause will dishonour it by cowardice, inhumanity or rapine. In this supreme hour, the Irish nation must, by its valour and discipline, and by the readiness of its children to sacrifice themselves for the common good, prove itself worthy of the august destiny to which it is called. Signed on behalf of the Provisional Government, Thomas J. Clark, Sean McDermott, Patrick Henry Pearce, James Connolly, Thomas McDonough, Eamon Kent and Joseph Plunkett.
I would now ask the Piper to come forward to play a lament during the lowering of the flags. Assistant with the organisation of this commemoration in recent years cannot be with us today. Stephen Murray from Newry is presently interned by remand in the Gabry prison. Davy Highland will now read a short statement on Stephen's behalf.
Éirígí.
Carter, I send to you solidarity greetings on the 97th anniversary of the historic 1916 Easter Rising, when Irish revolutionaries rose up and struck a blow for Irish liberation against imperialism. As I write this message from my prison cell in McGavery, it is comforting to know that comrades right across our country are honouring our patriot dead. Sadly, I can't be with you due to my continuing internment. However, I will be remembering those who paid the supreme sacrifice in whatever way I can, as limited as that may be. Little has changed in McGavery, and the oppressive and draconian regime who reigns in place today, with Irish men and Irish women finding themselves victims of selective internment as a result of their political beliefs and their desire to be free. I leave you with the words of 1916 martyr Eamon Kent. I leave for the guidance of other revolutionaries who may tread the path which I have trod this advice: never treat with the enemy, never to surrender to his mercy, but to fight to the finish.
I ask John Barr to step forward to deliver the main oration. John is from County Wexford. The links between Republicans in Belfast and Wexford can be traced back to the United Irishmen. Those links have existed throughout every phase of struggle since then. I would ask you to warmly welcome John Barr here today.
For the past 3 weeks in Wexford we've had sunshine. I'm absolutely perished here. The decades that have passed since the men and women of 1916 asserted the right in arms of the Irish people to the freedom of our nation have witnessed the absolute betrayal of every notion of independence and social justice that inspired those men and women of 1916. The leadership of the volunteers and of the citizen army knew that they could take Dublin City, but they also knew that if the rest of Ireland didn't mobilise at the same time, then their rising was sure to be a military failure. And yet they went ahead with that rising, and in so doing, they knew they would provide inspiration to future generations, and that's exactly what they did. But little could they have known the way their sacrifice would be forgotten by the political elite. The betrayal of the ideals of the men and women of 1916 and of the men and women of the resistance movement since has been repeated over and over and over by many who proclaim themselves Republicans and Socialists, but we don't need to waste our time here today in condemning those people. History will judge them for what they are and for what they have done. The Easter Rising was a result of the coming together of like-minded people from nationalist, Republican and Socialist backgrounds, agreeing as they did that the British had no right and could never have a right to interfere in the affairs of Ireland, and further agreeing that the time was opportune to strike in arms against our oppressors. What united this army of labourers and shopkeepers and academics and poets was a burning ambition to arouse in our people the desire to get off their knees and to end for once and for all the oppression of 700 years. The names of those who came together to strike that blow against an imperial enemy have been misused in the decades since by a variety of self-serving gumbeans. The ability of grovelling politicians to invoke the names of men like Connolly and Clark at the drop of a hat will be forever remembered as the most brazen acts of name-dropping when working to undo the work of those very revolutionaries. The shameful betrayal of republicanism and socialism by generations of career politicians can only be described as decades of shame. In the run-up to 1916, James Connolly and the Citizen Army were at the cold face of confronting the enemies of Ireland and of the working class. It was their politics and the fact that they dared to organise as a disciplined army that struck fear into the hearts of the capitalist class. The slum landlord and the exploiting employer were as much the enemies of Connolly and his comrades as were the British ruling classes. The experience of the Wexford lockout of 1911 and 1913 lockouts in Dublin had taught the Citizen Army that you could not reason with the exploiter and the oppressor. That lesson of those events had thought Connolly that you could never reason with this class of employer, and that to attempt to do so would simply put you into the bracket of a facilitator for their exploitation. This lesson seems to have been lost on those who, through the prism of blind arrogance, believed they could achieve their goals by becoming part of a rotten system and changing it from within. It doesn't work. Connolly, of course, recognised that simply replacing the flags and symbols of our oppressors with those of an Irish hue would achieve little and nothing without a commitment to totally and absolutely eradicate the scourge of exploitation of our people and our resources. He recognised that conservatives and capitalists with Gaelic names would quickly move in to take control of any future state, and that they would likely to emerge. And of course he and his comrades in the Irish Citizen Army knew full well of the sectarian nature of unionist opposition to any moves for independence and equality. They knew that they would use sectarianism to divide workers. Connolly recognised how sectarianism would be used by wealthy and unionist landlords and employers alike. We owe a debt of gratitude to those who struck that blow in 1916, and equally we owe that same debt of gratitude to those brave volunteers who sacrificed their all in bringing about a united Ireland in the decades since. The arrest without trial of opponents of this current administration is proof of how they fear the determination of Republicans to pursue our agenda. The criminalisation of anyone who dares to question reminds us of just who we are up against. Selective internment of political opponents like Stephen Murray and Marion Price and others against a backdrop of silence from many needs to be seen for what it is: the desperate actions of an administration that will speak the words of democracy out of the side of its mouth while resorting to the most undemocratic action of selective internment. And the truth is that we know what those who pull these strings of these people are capable of. They haven't gone away, you know. The days of trumped up charges haven't ended. The people responsible for shoot to kill still direct British policy in Ireland. The people responsible haven't gone away. They are firmly in control. They have underestimated the strength of comrades like Marion Price and Stephen Murney, and they have underestimated the strength and determination of people who stand here today and who have stood throughout this weekend in graveyards and cemeteries all over this country. I'm very conscious of the fact that we stand in a graveyard today that contains the remains of so many comrades in struggle, many of whom were murdered by those same shadowy forces that I've just mentioned. Those people, those shadowy forces that represent the same imperialist ambitions in Ireland today as they did in the lead up to the Rising. The same imperialist nature which has seen them invade, plunder and destroy other nations at will, dressing up their murderous ambitions with the connivance of the mass media as if they were the actions of humanitarians. The sacrifice of those who died in every phase of Ireland's struggle will always be remembered, and that remembrance should not be used by any organisation as an opportunity to either secure votes or announce political shifting of positions, but rather it should be one of genuine reverence and remembering of the sacrifice of comrades and the pain and suffering of those left behind. Today, the resources of Ireland are up for grabs. Our oil and our gas reserves are being stolen. Our water resources and our fisheries have been given away with a nod and a wink. With each of these shameful deeds, the cause of Ireland and our people has been set back. The nature of international exploiters has remained the same as it was in 1916, but now they dress it up as the IMF and the European Central Bank. Today, they are not as inclined to use brute force in the European context, relying instead on slick media campaigns and a well-coordinated plan of public apathy, fueled by mass medias, in whose interest it is to maintain the status quo. But have no doubt whatsoever, if the day ever comes when our people will yet again rise up, then they will face a well-trained and ruthless army of mercenaries who will do the bidding of their masters. These people who are currently in control are no democrats. They embrace a semblance of democracy only because it serves their purpose at this point. If the day ever comes when they are challenged seriously, they will expose themselves yet again and expose all they stand for. It would be foolish indeed to assume that they will willingly hand over the reins of power at any stage. So just as there was a requirement at the beginning of the last century to prepare as the citizen army did, that same requirement may very well occur again. Today in Ireland we have soup kitchens. Today in Ireland we have more than 500,000 unemployed. And today in Ireland we face mass evictions. Is this the Ireland that these men and women of 1916 died for? No, it's not. But the comrades here today will struggle for that Ireland, and we will do so till our last breath. Grab Mila Margaret.